Here are the top stories for today, August 2, 2019. Malacanang says President Duterte has the option to declare martial law to stop the killings in Negros Oriental. Police arrest 5 suspected NPA rebels believed to be involved in the killing of 4 Negros police personnel. The Department of National Defense says the country will not give up its positions in the West Philippine Sea. And the Finance Department seeks to fund universal health care through higher sin taxes.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Malacanang says President Rodrigo Duterte has many options to quell the violence in Negros Oriental. Presidential spokesman Salvador Panelo said on Thursday the president has many options under the Constitution, such as calling the armed forces to quell lawless violence or declaring martial law. He said Duterte will certainly follow the advice if the military on the ground will recommend the declaration of martial law. The Philippine National Police earlier sent 300 elite forces to stop the series of killings, but Panelo said it appears that the augmentation is not enough. At least 5 suspects in the killing of 4 policemen in Negros Oriental have been arrested. In Cebu City, police are looking into the possible link of 3 armed men arrested in the town of Badian to the killing of the 4 Intel cops last July 18. The 3 suspects are identified as Danny Harold Tancinco, Ronnie Herbias, and Marlon Basalo. They were arrested last July 31st following reports that these armed men arrived on board a pump boat from Negros Oriental. 2 of the 3 suspects reportedly claimed to be NPA rebels. Meanwhile, in Ayungon, Negros Oriental, suspects Rico Oracoy and Lito Cadasale were arrested last July 29 in a joint operation by the police and the armed forces of the Philippines. They were among several suspected NPA members who escaped from an encounter in Sitio Talaptapan, Barangay Nalundan, Bindoy Town. Major General Antonio Parlade Jr. of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict said that the human rights group Karapatan has no right to remind the government that its foremost role is the promotion and protection of human rights. Parlade made this comment in response to Karapatan's statement, saying the government's primary duties are the promotion and observance of human rights. He said he finds Karapatan's group role in the communist insurgency movement is to create public awareness on their illegal movement and bail out members nabbed by government forces, which is a far cry from its pronounced human rights advocacies. He also criticized the militant group for not denouncing acts of violence committed by the CPP-NPA against the indigenous peoples, as well as the brutal torture and execution of police officers in Ayungon, Negros Oriental last July 18. Parlade also slammed Karapatan's tirade against National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr., who singled them out as legal front organization of the Communist Party of the Philippines. Meanwhile, National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon personally appeared before the Quezon City Prosecutor's Office at the hearing of perjury charges he filed against Karapatan, the rural missionaries of the Philippines, and Gabriela. The 3 respondents initiated the writ of amparo petitions against Esperon, President Rodrigo Duterte, and other AFP officials, which were subsequently dismissed by the Court of Appeals. Esperon said he filed perjury against them because it was discovered that their documentation is fake. He cited the case of Rural Missionaries of the Philippines, or RMP, which runs the 55 Salugpungan schools in Mindanao. RNP's registration is said to be revoked since 2003, yet the group is still accepting donations. City Senior Prosecutor Nilo Peñaflor gave the respondents until August 15 to answer the perjury complaint filed by Esperon. Another province adds to the list of those who renounce the communist group CPP-NPA. Zamboanga del Sur issued a resolution declaring the CPP-NPA as persona non grata. The resolution issued on July 18 stated the need for a united and intensive effort with the police, military, and the people to stop terrorism and insurgency in Zamboanga del Sur. The resolution is in unison with Executive Order 70, creating the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. Meanwhile, in Davao Region, the provincial government units announced that they are effectively implementing the whole-of-nation approach, or EO70, in addressing the communist insurgency. In Compostela Valley, Governor J.V. Tyrone Uy said they established a culture of open communication and trust with the people as they see these rebels as victims of ideology. In Davao del Norte, Governor Edwin Ju Bahib shared that they are prioritizing education in the province to refrain the youth from being recruited by the communist group. United Nations Regional Coordinator Ola Almgren thanked the provincial leaders for sharing their initiatives, while Presidential Peace Advisor Carlito Galvez Jr. reaffirmed the national government's commitment to bring sustainable development and peace in Mindanao. 11,000 TESDA graduates are now employed via TESDA's 911 mobile app. And a human trafficking center will be constructed within the premises of DSWD. More on this from Janice Cabe.
The recent launch of 911 TESDA is said to generate 11,000 employment opportunities in Metro Manila alone. According to TESDA, there are 42,000 people in Metro Manila who need the services of certified TESDA graduates. The 911 TESDA services can be availed by those in Metro Manila, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Batangas, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal. Meanwhile, the Department of Labor and Employment said it remains steadfast on the commitment of President Rodrigo Duterte to end contractualization by providing contractual workers regular status in their jobs. According to DOLE Secretary Silvestre Bello III, there are around 474,329 workers who have been regularized from August 2016 to June 30, 2019, and they are currently working on a new version of the Anti-Endo Bill, which will be a balance between the security of tenure and the viability of employers. In other news, the Department of Justice and the Department of Social Welfare and Development led on Wednesday the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of a multi-purpose building that would house victims of human trafficking. The center will be constructed within the premises of the DSWD Sanctuary Center in Welfareville, Barangay Addition Hills in Mandaluyong City. And students are now exempted from the airport terminal fee starting August 1, 2019. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, waived the terminal fee for preschool to college students, including those in trade, arts, technical vocational schools, and training centers. Students who want to avail of the exemption must apply for a student exemption certificate at malasakit help desks located in airports. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cabe.
Still to come, the Department of National Defense says the country will not give up its position in the West Philippine Sea. The Department of Justice tells Chinese nationals seeking to work in the country to pay taxes and obey the law. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente. July 15, Lunes, Indanan, Sulu. Binisita ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte ang mga sundalo sa Camp Bud Datu pagkatapos ng pambobomba sa lugar noong Hunyo na ikinamatay ng 8 tao. July 16, Martes, Tagum City. Ipinagkaloob ng Pangulo sa 34 na dating miyembro ng New People's Army ang bagong housing units at livelihood assistance bilang panimula ng kanilang pagbabagong buhay. July 22, Lunes, Batasang Pambansa. Inilahad ni Pangulong Duterte sa taong bayan na nagawa ng kanyang administrasyon sa nakalipas na 12 buwan sa ika-4 na State of the Nation Address o SONA.
Our goal for the next 3 years is clear. A comfortable life for everybody, all Filipinos. We have made significant strides and accomplishments in signal milestones as a nation in the past 3 years. This momentum must continue with greater fervor in the next 3 years and beyond. I dream of glowing days ahead for every Filipino. I dream of a Philippines better than the one I grew up with.
July 24, Miyerkules, Malacanang. Tinanggap ng Pangulo sa palasyo ang mga bagong talagang ambassador mula sa Kingdom of Tonga, Republic of Zambia, Republic of Botswana, and Republic of Uzbekistan. July 25, Huwebes, Ilocos Sur. Pinangunahan ni Pangulong Duterte ang inaugurasyon ng Candon City Bypass Road na makapagpapabilis ng biyahe mula Maynila papuntang Ilocos Norte at Abra.
Let me acknowledge the efforts of the Department of Public Works and Highways for the successful completion of the 7-kilometer bypass road.
Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
The Department of National Defense says the Philippines will never give up any of its positions in the West Philippine Sea as it continues to improve its existing facilities in Philippine-occupied Pag-asa Island. Defense spokesperson Arsenio Andolong said the DND is improving the facilities of Pag-asa Island to accommodate more residents and personnel, and that none of the countries claiming territories there has complete and sole control over the entire area. The Department of Foreign Affairs on Wednesday confirmed that Manila fired off a note verbale against a reported swarming of Chinese vessels around Pag-asa Island over the weekend. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara on Thursday said that Chinese nationals who wish to work in the country must pay income taxes and comply with all legal requirements, such as securing alien employment certificates and work visas. Data from the Bureau of Immigration showed that Chinese nationals topped the agency's list of arrested foreigners for violating the country's immigration laws in 2018. From 2016 to October 2018, some 1,510 Chinese nationals were deported for being undocumented aliens, while 393 Chinese nationals were arrested last year as overstaying aliens, illegal foreign vendors, and illegally employed aliens. Chinese nationals also topped the list of foreigners prevented from entering the country last year for being disrespectful towards immigration officers. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar says open communication could solve the government's bureaucratic web of problems and make the public participate in governance. During the Daguao 2019 Town Hall meeting in Tacloban City, Andanar said dialogues could derive resolutions and dissolve the government's bureaucratic web of problems. He also stressed on bringing the president's cabinet secretaries up close so that people can participate in governance. The Tacloban leg marks the 6th Daguao Town Hall meeting since July this year, following the Pampanga, Cebu, Davao, Coronadal City, and Pasay City caravans. The PCOO, the Department of Budget and Management, and the Department of the Interior and Local Government will continue to bring open government dialogues to regions outside Metro Manila until September. No more walking while using cell phones in Baguio City. And let us take a look at a Hello Kitty-themed school in Zamboanga. More on this from Benj Mondo.
In Kidapawan, the suspects in the killing of Brigada FM anchor Eduardo Dijon have been identified and charged with murder. According to Presidential Task Force on Media Security, murder charges were filed at the city's prosecutor's office of Kidapawan against the suspects whose names remain undisclosed in order not to compromise any further action on the case.
The Presidential Task Force on Media Security, of course, is elated by this latest development on the case of Eduardo Dijon in Kidapawan. In fact, I was there last July 13 and I led a case conference immediately after the the killing immediately after the incident. And I met the widow, and I went personally to the site where the victim was killed, or shot and killed. And as early as that time, I already had information as to who could be behind the killing of Mr. Dijon. And the filing of the murder charges against 4 suspects, although we still see it fit to withhold the names of the suspects because there are still ongoing follow-up operations for others who may still be involved with the killing of Mr. Dijon.
In Baguio City, the use of mobile devices such as cell phones, tablets, and other similar items while walking is now prohibited. The ordinance states that distracted walking is a major pedestrian safety concern, citing pedestrian fatalities getting worse each year. In Zamboanga, a school in Sitio Compound, Barangay Panagaan, Mahayag became trending on social media site Facebook for its Hello Kitty-themed campus. According to Compound Elementary School head Mary Ann Valle, the low enrollment this year prompted them to paint the school with Hello Kitty with the support of parents and other stakeholders. She said this may encourage learners not to skip school and create a positive learning environment. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondok.
Up next, the Department of Finance seeks to fund universal health care through higher sin taxes. The National Food Authority releases rice supplies as relief aid for victims of the earthquake in Batanes. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
So we have another caller, Lawrence, a freelancer or a freelance journalist on the line. Good afternoon, Lawrence.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
my
Lawrence.
question is, what is the update on the tariffs collected from the rice tarification law? How are the farmers benefiting from this?
So the latest number that I've seen was end of June number, no? And this is of around 0.966 million metric tons that have come in through private sector imports. Around 5.9 billion pesos has been collected in tariffs. So if we stay on this trajectory, and the reason why I say March to June is because the rice tarification law went into effect in March. So the imports that came in January to February were not under the tarified regime. So from March to June, we're looking at a collection of 5.9 billion from 0.966 million metric tons. And if we continue on this trajectory and import at this clip, we will have even more than the 10 billion minimum for the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. No? So actually, even late last year, an advance budget of 5 billion was already released by DBM to the Department of Agriculture in order to support our rice farmers.
The Department of Finance, or DOF, is pushing for the swift approval of higher taxes on alcohol products and e-cigarettes to fill the funding gap of the Universal Health Care Program. According to Finance Assistant Secretary Antonio Lambino II, the passing of higher taxes on alcohol may add at least 15.8 billion pesos in the first year of implementation and is 111.5 billion pesos over the next 5 years. Lambino said this will enable the Department of Health to upgrade and build more medical facilities, recruit more doctors and nurses, and scale up disease prevention services. The Universal Health Care Program requires about 319 billion pesos, 40% of which will come from PCSO. The other sources of funding would be the taxes collected from sin products, 50% of the national government share from the income of PAGCO and the premium contributions of PhilHealth members, the DOH budget, and the national government subsidy to PhilHealth. The Philippine economy expanded by 6% in the second quarter and is poised to accelerate further until year-end. According to a joint report by the First Metro Investment Corporation and the University of Asia and the Pacific, a strong support by consumer, government, and investment spending will most likely speed up the economy. A further growth in the economy is also expected from lower interest rates and slight improvement in the external trade data. FMIC and UANP pointed out they expect a renewed sharp fall in headline inflation to below 2% by August and even below 1.5%, especially with base effects due to lower rice and other food prices. The National Food Authority has released a total of 437 bags of rice in the ongoing relief operations in Itbayat, Batanes. Itbayat suffered the most casualties after twin earthquakes struck Batanes on July 27, leaving at least 9 people dead and dozens injured. NFA now holds more than 10 million bags of rice stored in all of its warehouses nationwide for food security buffer stock. These are now for release through relief agencies and LGUs in calamity-stricken areas. Manila Archbishop Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle on Thursday issued a prayer to be said by the clergy and the faithful at all Sunday Masses of August. In a circular signed by Chancellor of the Archdiocese, Father Reginald Malikdem, Cardinal Tagle invites the faithful to be aware and discerning of the disturbing issues in society and respond with prayer and faith. He also asked them to pray for the members of the Catholic Church, particularly those who are victims of persecution and false accusations. The prayer, written in English and Tagalog, will be prayed at all Sunday Masses, including the evening Masses of Saturday for the whole month beginning August 4. In our foreign news, more than 20,000 HIV-positive patients died in Russia in 2018, with the death toll growing 2.2% year-on-year. According to the Russian Health Ministry, 14 cases were recorded per 100,000 citizens. It says HIV infection among young people aged 18 to 44 is becoming one of the major causes of death in Russia, followed by cancer, respiratory, and digestive system diseases. Last year, 76.7% of Russians aged between 25 and 55 died of HIV/AIDS. The Department of Science and Technology has suggested using DOST-developed products or research to curb the rise of dengue in the country. Latest data from the Department of Health revealed nearly 6,000 dengue cases from June 30 to July 6, or 22% higher than in 2018. DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña said the agency has funded a number of research projects and programs related to diagnosing and treating dengue. Among this is the Biotech M-Kit, developed in partnership with the University of the Philippines, Manila, for early detection and management of dengue. The DOST is also funding clinical trials for the evaluation of a possible herbal medicine for dengue. The medicine apparently has an antiviral activity against the dengue virus and can elevate platelet levels in complicated cases of dengue. The low-pressure area last seen east of Vera, Catanduanes continues to bring rains to the country. Southwest monsoon is also enhancing rainfall, particularly to the western section of Luzon. Let's now look at the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. And here's another look at today's biggest stories.
Malacanang says President Duterte has the option to declare martial law to stop the killings in Negros Oriental. Police arrest 5 suspected NPA rebels believed to be involved in the killing of 4 Negros police personnel. The Department of National Defense says the country will not give up its positions in the West Philippine Sea. And the Finance Department seeks to fund universal healthcare through higher sin taxes.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And since today is a rainy Friday, let us all exercise discipline and safety and gear up for the rest of the weekend. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.